Hey everyone, welcome back to
The Fire You Can't Put Out.
Yeah, hey, last week we kind of skipped a week, and I think I have to say it's my bad because but it will bound to happen that there will be a week that all three of us are for some reason not available because we do have a life right outside of this. So, but I should have arranged things a little bit better to at least have something come out. But I guess from time to time, if we take a break, I guess it's okay with everyone, right?
These things are going to happen because life happens.
Yeah. So, okay. So all the housekeeping stuff, let's get it out of the way first. We have an email address. Email address is TFYCPO@gmail.com. Say that again, is TFYCPO@gmail.com, which stands for
The Fire You Can't Put Out.
Yes, and we also have a Facebook page. It's at the facebook.com/TFYCPO, and you can also subscribe to us via iTunes, and you can download it into your MP3 device of choice. And again, also, of course, we have to thank our good friends at Open Sky Radio who have been giving us so much help to get our show out in the world. So they have been helping me especially to figure out all the technical stuff. So, okay, let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into the content of the show. Now, a lot happened in the past couple of weeks, and especially in these past couple of days. You probably noticed Facebook is turning red. And at times it was insane because you can't tell anybody from anybody because everybody has the same, profile picture, right? At least I did. So, what is that for? Of course, is the support for marriage equality. And let's all start saying marriage equality, because if you're just saying gay marriage, is kind of just like part of it, So it is marriage equality. And it's as important as any kind of equality, and it's civil rights. And I'm pretty sure our listeners already know what we think about that. So the Supreme Court is hearing Prop 8 from California,
which you ought to explain.
Right. So Prop 8 is California passed Proposition 8. Yep. That is basically saying that there will be no marriage for gay and lesbians, brothers and sisters.
Right.
So somebody took it. Right.
It repealed the law they passed allowing it.
Right. And
correct. They got to get married, and then it took it away.
And it was being done. A lot of different organizations were involved, especially the Mormon Church was involved.
They poured a lot of money into it. It's really
they did.
Right.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you the truth too. It's kind of split families. For this. This is kind of a wedge issues for a lot of families, especially in the minority communities, because I just read a thing about 70% of African Americans are against same-sex marriage, or however they sample
marriage equality.
Marriage equality, and also there's a big debate within the Latino communities, and since I'm Asian, I know for a fact that this is a big argument within the Asian communities, because a lot of the Asian communities are very religious and very quote unquote traditional in their thinking about this one. So this is a really serious wedge issue for a lot of different communities, and this thing, after the Prop 8 was passed in California, so this is like several years ago. Now it got rolled all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is doing hearings on it, and especially these couple of days. And of course, the Supreme Court is it's not live. It's not like you can turn on C-SPAN and you can watch it go on. So a lot of stuff you have to catch it on blog posts. You have to catch it on live blog and stuff like that to see what's going on. So and what the part that drives everybody crazy is a decision is not going to come down until June.
Right.
And as of right now, it's still the end of May. So we still have to sit here and wait at least 2.5 months.
It's actually the end of March.
At the end of March. So
what's interesting is what's okay. So since this has been happening, so Tuesday they took up Prop 8, and then Wednesday they took up DOMA.
Right,
the Supreme Court doesn't allow cameras. I mean, there's an audio recording, but they themselves release it. And I've heard more audio recordings from the Supreme Court than ever. They know that the world is watching. These recordings are dreadfully boring to listen to. They're some of the worst audio you'll ever hear, but they're very, very important to listen to. And a lot of the cases, what's been interesting is Kennedy. And it's hard to make a judgment from these when they're from the arguments, because Kennedy almost sounds like he is going to vote with the more liberal people on the court just by the comments that he's been making. But
he's tricky that way, though.
Well, he can. They call him the swing vote, but most of the time, even though he does tend to swing every so often, most of the time he votes with the conservatives. But it seems like he may be with us on this issue, but you can't count on him because he has flipped to the other side. Scalia's been saying all the disgusting things he wants to say, so I'm going to leave that alone and move right on to Roberts, who brought something up that just blew my mind in the DOMA case. He was saying to the lady arguing against DOMA, the lawyer, he says, the very fact that you have come before this court today shows that gays have power, that gays have what he called it the gay lobby, which makes, okay, the oil companies have a lobby because there's a lot of money in oil. Yes. Guns have a lobby because there's a lot of money in guns and cars and insurance and health and drugs and all these things. They all have lobbies because they're very lucrative things. It does not pay money anyway to be gay. So there's no gay lobby. Well, so it was really interesting to me that he even said that.
So, it's saying when women pushed in the early 1900s for the vote, that women had a lobby. Right. And I think there are a lot of parallels between these two issues. It's a human rights issue in our country. Right. It's not where everybody else wants to take it.
Just think of it like that. It's ridiculous. Okay, there is an advocacy. Of course there's an advocacy. Because gay and lesbians, brothers and sisters, are under fire a lot of times because of just who they are. So there has to be an advocacy, right? Nothing wrong with that.
Well, there was nothing wrong with the black advocacy.
Yeah, but just by saying that as in, well, these are our fellow citizens. Exactly. Of course they have power. Of course they have power. It's just ridiculous. And you know what? You know why they need an advocacy? Because they are being discriminated. That's exactly what we're talking about, discrimination right here. Because they can't, well, heterosexual people can get married, but they can't. That's discrimination. We're not playing on an equal level.
There's no level playing field.
Right.
They know that the world is listening, and that's why they're saying those things. The Supreme Court, nothing gets thrown upon their lap. Nobody marches into their courtroom. They get handed cases. Cases are presented to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says, yes, we'll take that case, or no, we won't take that case. And the Supreme Court obviously said, we'll take this case. So the reason it is before you today, Mr. Roberts, if I may remind you how to do your job, is because you chose it. You chose to have DOMA come before you. You chose to have Prop 8 come before you. Right. And you can't pretend that these are unfortunate circumstances because it makes you dishonest, Mr. Roberts.
Well, and before we go much further with this, JOMA stands for
Defense of Marriage Act.
Defense of Marriage Act, and it was passed during the Clinton administration.
Correct.
Sadly. And it was really a very ill-considered law that defined marriage as between one man and one woman.
Yeah.
And they were under a lot of pressure by the far right wing to pass this law and for the president to sign it. And I think it was really ill-considered, but I almost think it was like a bone thrown to the right-wingers, the right-wing religious, and I can say lobby,
right.
who is also very powerful. And I think it was maybe if we give them this, they'll shut up and leave us alone about some other stuff.
Now, religion, that's a choice right there.
Religion's a choice. You are born homosexual or you are born heterosexual. Right. You don't have a choice.
Have we actually talked about this on this show or one of the other podcasts? I don't remember. But of course, there's always a choice involved in life. Whether you choose to do whatever is a choice. But being who you are is not a choice.
Exactly. Now, that's part of your identity.
A lot of these anti-gay people, they are so focused on the sex act itself.
Which is so weird.
Which is so weird, right?
Like, that's what they sit around thinking about.
Of course, the act itself is a choice.
But I don't like to think about anybody's sexual act.
Right,
sorry.
But that's how they think about this. When they talk about, it's a choice. The act itself is a choice. Heterosexual people make a choice too, whether you're going to,
yes.
Whether you're going to engage in a certain activity Friday night, right? It's a choice. But being who you are is not a choice,
It was brought up so much. They shouldn't get married because they can't procreate. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this out loud. I got a vasectomy a few years ago. Should me and my wife get a divorce now?
Oh, because
we can't procreate either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just float my own little personal philosophy out there?
Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely.
How long do you think we've had homosexual people on the earth?
Yeah, since day one.
Okay.
Forever.
Forever.
They were probably gay dinosaurs.
Well, there had to have been gay children produced by, if you believe in the biblical account, by Adam and Eve, right?
Right.
If you buy into that. Okay.
Wow.
Right.
And I know there are people here who don't. It's fine. I'm just taking this because it's right-wing Christians who bring this stuff up.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. So if there were homosexuals from the beginning and God doesn't make any mistakes, tell me. Okay, so these people are not mistakes, right? So they're normal. So they were there for a reason. And I happen to think that we had a natural form of birth control for the earth placed into the plan, if you believe in all this.
Right. Whoa. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. They can't procreate, and therefore we're not more overrun with people than we already are. Right. Now that's another wild, supposition on my part. Well, but there you go.
Well, if you let me ask you this. I ask you both this, right? If you take the Bible literally, well, then something doesn't add up, right? Because at the beginning, there is Adam, Eve, and the snake, right?
Right.
And then Adam and Eve have 2 kids,
right?
And then I think one whacked the other one.
Yeah. Cain whacks Abel.
Right. So then what happened afterwards?
And we never hear about the rest of their
kids.
Right.
So are we do we have some kind of incest going on? Because there has to be
what? That is the question that I have never heard anybody answer.
Right. Did Adam and Eve actually, did it a couple of times and have sisters? Then it doesn't work either. There has to be another kind of incest.
Well, you know what's really interesting? There's a verse somewhere in Genesis about Cain going to another country and getting a wife, which...
Oh.
What? It's like, that, huh? What?
All right.
It's another planet, so enough of this.
All right. Okay.
If
the issue is procreation and gay people cannot procreate, then all these gay people are coming from straight people. Straight people, perhaps if you do not like gay people, you should quit making them.
It's always
nobody but yourself to blame.
It's always about control. It's always about controlling the others. People that isn't like you.
Right. People with black skin.
Right. People
who are women, not men.
It's always about fear. People that doesn't act the same way as you. See, people who are quote unquote not on the same page with you all the time. It's always about the fear
and ignorance
on those people and ignorance. And then let's find a way to control them by making an agenda, by making some kind of doctrine that says these people are missing something. These people are sinned. These people have problems, which is BS. And you know what?
You know what? Speaking of agenda, did you see the gay agenda sign?
Oh yeah, I thought that was great.
Amazing.
Hey,
7:45 p.m.
Well, let me.
Heterosexual.
Well, I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll. So I'm on a roll. Let me say this one more.
Okay,
I'm so tired. I'm so tired of people saying that. Well, I mean, we can get like letting 2 men and 2 women married. Where we're going to stop? Are we going to have like 3 men and then 3 men, 2 women? Are we going to like screw cows and stuff? You know what? Don't be an idiot.
False equivalency.
Don't be if you're into specialty porn, just go do it, okay? Yeah. Don't try to make everybody believe that is the reality.
Right.
All right? Adults would know we are talking about 2 people in love. That's it.
2 adults in love.
Right? That's it.
Right.
2 adults in love. Right? That's
2
it.
consenting adults.
So if you like that kind of, specialty stuff, hey, it's a free country, man. Right? Go take care of that yourself.
But take care of it somewhere else.
But don't make that part of your agenda to control other people.
And please do not quote Leviticus to me ever again.
No shellfish.
The same cases were made against miscegenation, which, by the way, if I remember correctly, Clarence Thomas has been married to a white woman for many decades now. There was a time when, I think it's like 30 years now, there was a time when even his marriage wasn't legal. And so when miscegenation was the issue, there were quite a few people around that time that said the same thing. Hey, people are going to want to marry goats. People are going to want to marry their toaster ovens.
Same stuff.
And Bill O'Reilly has backpedaled on this, which I think is funny because I remember listening to Bill just go off one time about gay marriage, and I heard him say, what if, you're going to laugh, what if a man marries a goat? And he and that goat have a divorce.
Right.
And then when they get divorced, that goat is going to get half of his stuff. Now that goat has half of his stuff. Now, is that right?
That's just.
Is that right?
That's such
the goat deserves it.
Right. That's such a childish.
It
way
is,
to,
but
it's like
Bill
freaking.
O'Reilly, who's now backed off of that a little.
It's freaking primary school material. Okay, and then the other thing is, well, with that logic, if Sarah Palin loves big gulp, like to hold a gallon of soda with sugar in front of her, right?
At the CPAC.
What next? Is she going to be like on cocaine? It's like it doesn't.
Arguments never work.
Right, it doesn't make any sense. So anyway, this is driving me crazy. I'm like, well, if you don't like, it's something you just have to get used to. If you're anti-gay, I gotta tell you, it's none of your business. This
is not about religion,
right? It's if you don't like
not about religion. It's legal, political.
If you don't like gay people's existence, if you don't like them, just getting together with people that they love, want to share their life together, want to get all kinds of rights that we heterosexual have, as in visitation in hospital, properties, all kinds of, in terms of, being on a will, being on health insurance,
healthcare.
That kind of stuff. If you don't like people having the same kind of rights, as heterosexual couples, I think you just have to sit there and take it. I'm sorry, because it's none of your business.
Well, here's the deal. They base it so much on religion, and here's the very simple way of looking at this. Okay, based on your religious beliefs, you don't believe the gay lifestyle, if you want to call it that, is right. You think it's sinful. Guess what? Even if these people are allowed to get married, even if marriage equality goes through, and we have marriage equality, thankfully, in this country, you can still believe that. And the church or religious community you belong to is welcome to decide who can and cannot get married in a religious ceremony in that entity. Nothing will change for you. Absolutely nothing.
Right.
By the time we head into summer, America is going to look very different no matter how these cases are decided. Let me say this real quick. They have decided that obviously they're going to take up the Voting Rights Act also, and they've really, really pushed because they really want to take that up. But they're also going to take up oh my God, I forget the name of the other. Affirmative action.
Right.
Oh.
So here's the thing. No matter how they decide on either one of these cases, either the conservatives are going to get their way and we stop black people from voting and we kill affirmative action and we kill all forms of gay marriage, or some of those cases are going to be decided in our favor. No matter what, it's going to be incredibly polarizing this year, and certainly heading into the next election year. We're going to be looking at a very different America. It appears to me that the Supreme Court, the John Roberts Court, which I believe the reason he decided the way he decided on the Affordable Care Act was because of his legacy. The legacy of the Roberts Court is going to grow by leaps and bounds this year, because these are landmark cases. They seem like they come around all the time, but they really don't.
Yeah. And
we've got at least 3, potentially 4 landmark cases. Now, 2 of them are dealing with gay marriage, which by the way, there was
marriage equality.
Well, excuse me, yes, marriage equality. One of the guys, the guy that was arguing for DOMA said, and I think it was he said to Atlantic Kagan, he says, Justice, the reason DOMA was passed was because they wanted to hand marriage rights down to the states, and for no other reason. And then Atlantic Kagan read the actual bill, and it actually said that they were trying to legislate what is morally right. And he was actually surprised. He goes, it says that? Oh, yeah, it says that. That's right. Like that. Those are his words. Both sentences are his words. Because he was surprised he heard it, and then goes, I better not let on that I don't know what he's talking about. People are going to think I'm dumb. And he goes, of course it says that. He didn't even know. He doesn't even know why it's passed.
That's hilarious.
It's going to change, and it's going to change pretty drastically this year.
Okay.
And deep lines are going to be drawn. But kids, you know this, and I know this. We are on the right side of history.
Yes, we are.
This is going to go down just like miscegenation did.
Preach.
Absolutely. And when people look back, we can say to our kids, and grandkids, love is love, kid, and then they can turn to their kids and grandkids and just get off my lawn, whatever they say. I don't know how stupid people talk.
Amen. Amen.
Hey,
all right, go on now.
Here's the deal too. When you're talking about this, I lost my thought. I lost my thought completely. I had something brilliant to add.
It's a lot of stuff going on. So,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sorry.
I see a lot of hope. And, once again, I'm so proud I live in the state of Washington because we seems to be so
on
ahead.
the right side of the history.
A little bit.
Yes.
Well, let's not say so ahead, but it seems like we are a little bit ahead on this one. So hopefully.
We're ahead of Kentucky.
Yeah.
You know what?
That doesn't take much there. Okay, so
I just like picking on Kentucky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
The last time we left something up to states' rights.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll take a while.
Yeah.
So
we had Jim Crow laws.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. Well, let's keep an eye on this one, and I guess painfully we have to wait 3 months for what's going to come down. But you know what? I'm hopeful on this one.
So am I.
Because they're talking about laws. They're not. Yep. They're not trying. Hopefully, they're not trying to legislate morality.
I have not heard the argument that gays are oogie. So I feel good too.
You know what? A lot of heterosexual people are oogie.
A lot of them are.
Yeah, they are.
Best sign by the protesters this week.
Yeah.
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today.
I don't even know what that means.
Princess Bride.
Oh my God! I have never seen that movie before.
All right. You'll have to see it.
Go ahead.
All right.
So Melvin, let's move to the next thing.
Let's get into our next one, which is pretty multifaceted. So the week before last, we had CPAC, which was crazy on display. But it also happened to coincide when CPAC ended. It happened to coincide with what the Republicans themselves are calling the Republican autopsy. Now, there's a couple of stories. I want to drop a few short lines on you and then open it up for discussion. Now, this one wasn't directly related to the autopsy, but this was really, really interesting to me. Let me put it to you like this. The number of Americans who claim to have no religious affiliation is the highest it's ever been since data started being collected in the 30s. Scientologists from the University of California, Berkeley, and Duke University analyzed results from the General Social Survey and found that the number of people who do not consider themselves part of an organized religion has jumped in recent years.
Wait, let me stop you right there. You mean sociologist, right?
Say that again.
You said
did I say that?
You said Scientologist.
Oh, sorry. Holy hell! No, you're right. I'm glad you caught that. Sociologist. Okay, so
Xenu.
back in the 1930s and 40s, the number of nuns who said that they had no affiliation was around 5%. That only rose to 8% by the 1990s. But during the 90s, it dropped off and increased from 8 to 20% just during that 10-year period when it had only increased by 3% from the 30s and 40s. Most people who said that they have no religion say that they are unhappy with the way that religion and politics are intertwined. Obviously, more of your people who consider themselves to be non-religious are liberal, and then the ones who consider themselves religious are more conservative. The largest drop-off, when people were asked, they said it's because of the intertwining of politics and religion. On to this. The Republicans said that there is no debt crisis. We just want to screw the poor. Now that's not their exact. But they finally said it out loud. Paul Ryan and John Boehner have finally said it aloud. Boehner said to Martha Raddatz, "We do not have an immediate debt crisis." Those are his words. Okay?
Yes.
And I'm still quoting. But we all know that we have one looming. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, fine. So, and then Paul Ryan went on to say the same thing on the same Sunday. We do not have a debt crisis right now, but we see it coming. Okay? Same thing. They're pretty much just admitting what they're doing. So, on to the autopsy.
Right.
RNC Growth and Opportunity Project report, voters see GOP as scary and narrow-minded. They see them as a party of stuffy old men. The response from the Republicans, by and large,
and one woman with a big gulp.
Yeah, the response by and large from them is, okay, they say, well, we're not reaching out to Latinos enough, we're not reaching out to blacks enough, and we're not reaching out to women enough. So what we need to do with women is we need to get women on board. We need to get women in leadership positions. We need to get women on TV. We need to get women, on radio and da-da-da-da-da-da. So what essentially they're saying about women is they're saying we need to get women out there spreading the same message. We don't need to change our message. Our message is awesome, and the ladies will get it once we point that out to them. So we want to bring more women on board, but we just want them to say these things. And they said, oh, yeah, and by the way, there's no war on women. Yeah, it said that there people perceive us as having a war on women, but there's no war on women. It's not real. The most radical proposals in the House conservative budget. This is the last thing I want to point out, and then I want to go ahead and open it up. Right. Raising the retirement age to 70. Reinstating the Bush tax cuts. Freezing all spending for 4 years. Eliminating the National Labor and Relations Board, the National Endowment for the Arts, and public broadcasting, and repealing Obamacare. Tying this in with religion. The Jefferson Bible was the book that Jefferson went in and he cut out all of the miracles that were reported to be performed by Christ, and he just made Christ a brilliant philosopher, someone who cared for people, someone who had a vision, so that idea of Christ, even people who are not religious, we like that idea because it's very empathetic. It's very much, am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. So they
say quite liberal, progressive. Actually.
Yes, it is, and he was long haired and brown skin and not from America. So people see
Jesus is not American.
Exactly.
Nope.
People see
like the flyer I got this week.
Right.
I got one too. They see the Republicans as waving Jesus out there and saying that we are the moral high ground. We are the Christians. We believe what Jesus believes. Let's give the rich tax cuts. Nobody deserves health care. And that's the biggest reason, in my opinion, why religion has dropped off. Now, I'm not an anti-religious person. I see it has its place in society, and I believe that it should be here because I've seen it do good things for people. But the reason they're losing their flock is because of what the Republicans have done by intertwining the two. Thoughts?
Go ahead.
Oh, man, this is so tied to my DM tonight. I'm so tempted. But, yeah. Okay.
If you ask me, I think, this is, you know what, seriously, at this point, I don't care. I think religion, I think religion is, they always want to, I'm no longer religious, but I used to be. And a lot of times they try to play this inclusion game. It's very inclusive. We're going to welcome you as to come into our circle, and as our brothers and sisters. Is what is actually, if you ask me, religion is very exclusive. You're not in until you believe.
Right.
I mean, they want to
not in the club.
Right. They want to give you impression. Give you the impression that it's a very inclusive game. But I think as whatever it is, whatever a religion is, or whatever a denomination is, I was Episcopalian, and the Episcopal Church is already pretty liberal, but still,
I was a Mormon.
What?
I was a Mormon.
You're saying something that we didn't even know.
Whoa. I was a Mormon for a while, and I was a Jehovah for a while.
Wait, what? So are you just sampling? You can't just...
My mother always picked our religion, and obviously that's when I got old enough. That's why I got the hell out of it. I didn't pick those religions. We were Jehovah's first, and then we got away from that church, and then we were Mormons for a long time. I actually used to go in the 11th grade. I used to go as 10th and 11th grade. I went to seminary every morning, which is an hour of church before you go to school.
So do you guys get this religion, like coffee of the quarter things? Like every 3 months they'll send you a different kind of coffee, so you sample it.
No,
but you know what I'm saying.
Scientology for a while.
But
too.
but you know what I'm saying though. I mean, it's about superimposing. Now again, I'm going to get it. Maybe a lot of people don't like what I'm going to say, but if you think about it. It's a people with agenda again. Bring again with this word, right? Agenda, trying to superimpose trying to superimpose a structure on somebody,
right?
Whether or not that structure is behavioral or just a mental thing, and and I think the reason that religion is losing steam is because of enlightenment. People no longer think having such a rigid structure in thinking is what they want anymore, and it really doesn't help that some of the denominations or some of the religion is advocating discrimination basically. So it really doesn't help. And I always want to, and people get offended when I talk like this, but it's. I'm sorry, religion is a business. You're not
unfortunately, right?
Well, it is from the get-go. It's a business. You're trying to. Well, it's in a way it's kind of worse than a business because you created that need. And then you sell somebody that product because of that need. You tell people they're with sin, that they have nothing to do. They're born with sin, and there's nothing they can do with it. That the only solution is you come to us, and then you go to heaven and won't burn in hell. Who doesn't want that?
Well, here's okay. Right? So when you went into this being a business,
let me finish. Let me finish this thought.
Okay, finish and then answer. You're up.
They are kind of selling you a product. But that product doesn't, the clientele is dwindling because that product doesn't fit the modern mentality anymore.
Right.
Which, okay, and then I got to say this: I'm fine with religion.
Ditto.
But you're free to choose whatever you believe in. That's fine. But don't try to use what you believe in to try to limit others, to try to discriminate others. That's what I'm thinking. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Angela.
No.
Angela, go ahead.
So much of what I've got to say is tied to my DM. So when I get to that point, you'll see all the parallels for what you've brought up here.
Right.
when you mention that this is a business, that's when bells start going off in my head, because I think of people like Pat Robertson, and I think of the people on TLC, and I cannot remember their names right now. She has really blonde hair and talks like a little girl, and he has very great. You know who I'm talking about?
I can see it. I don't know the name. I
can't remember their names.
I can see it.
But
Jimmy Swagger.
No, Jimmy Swagger.
The Bakers.
It's not the Bakers. This is even, but it is a business. I mean, they actually go on television and they try to get you to donate money to them, and they will say things like, Jesus wants you to write $1,000 check, and if
who's the other guy? The Benny Hinn? Is that the other guy?
Well, Benny Hinn, yeah. and if you write $1,000 check, it won't bounce because Jesus needs it, and I mean things like that, and they've taken people in. The other part of it that really stands out for me is when you mention things like agendas, because these are the people who claim that homosexuals have an agenda, that anyone who is homosexual, doesn't matter if they're being an activist or not, has an agenda if they are anywhere near your child. I mean, all of this scaremongering, all of the wild stories that are just plain made up about things that really have nothing to do with religious belief. And I think it's really interesting that you say what you say about religion. And I know that particularly where we live, we are the most unchurched part of our country. If you go south, I have a brother-in-law living in North Carolina. I mean, religious practice is just part of their day.
Right.
Okay. They don't even think about it.
It's very complicated. It's very complicated.
It's very complicated. But what happens more and more is the mainline churches, like you mentioned, the Episcopal Church, are becoming empty.
Yeah, it is.
More and more empty of people joining them, and people are actually going to the mega church thing.
Right.
And we are full of those here in Spokane.
Right.
Where it's, I don't know, I always want to call it safety in numbers, because you can just kind of go and be part of a crowd, and they say to you, if you do this and this and this, you're on your way to heaven, and now you can go home and live the way you want to. I mean, it's not that simple, but it really does smack of that.
And please don't tell me that is not a business, because I've seen a bunch of their pamphlets on the mail that they send you. They come in, they're like, well, they are, on the pamphlet itself is full of images of young, pretty people.
Yes.
And
what we got this week,
and you look at that, and you go over to say Old Navy catalog.
Right.
It looks kind of the same.
Same people.
So don't tell me they don't use sex to sell.
Let me just say this one thing.
They do. Go ahead.
This week, what we got on our doorstep, and Melvin, it sounds like you got the same one, maybe, was the most sexy-looking Jesus I have ever seen.
Whoa!
I'm not kidding. Western white Jesus with a haircut that looks like he just stepped out of a recent film. Not the long-haired Jesus at all.
We got something a little different.
Right.
But here, I want to wrap this. I want to wrap this subject up with this, if I may. When Jesus flipped over the tables in the temple, and I say this on the heels of what just happened, not only to our economy when it was collapsed because of bankers, but also because of what happened in Cyprus. When Jesus flipped over the tables in the temple, it was over the bankers, and interest rates are against the word of God. In the Bible, they call it usury. We call it much the same thing, but we don't say it out loud. And the Republican Party is the devil's underpants. You guys are all going to hell. It's on you all.
At some point in the future, one of the future show, we need to talk about this thing called prosperity evangelism or something.
Oh, man. You just
all right.
Prosperity. Oh gosh, I'm losing my words here. It's late. I'm tired.
No, you're fine. Hey, let's move on to Monsanto.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I do have one correction to make. I do have a religion. It's called baseball. Anyway,
baseball is life.
Let's move to 3 strike you out. So let's move to the next thing.
All right,
Angela, you lead.
So, the short-term funding measure that Congress approved last Thursday. Okay, this was, and we should explain this to the people listening in Hong Kong, I'm sure, but we had to have legislation for a funding measure.
Pretty much. Right.
What's that?
Funding the government, pretty much.
Funding, yeah, so that we wouldn't shut the government down.
Right.
Okay, current funding was set to expire. We needed to do this. Okay, so this goes through the Senate. Then it goes over to the House. And something mysterious happens while it's over in the House.
Yeah.
While it's over in the House, somebody anonymously slipped a little provision, a rider, into the bill. And it has now become known as the Monsanto Protection Act. The reason I want to bring this up tonight is, here's the deal. This has been spun by every right-wing news association out there into, this was an executive order by President Obama to have this protection of Monsanto.
I've not heard that yet.
Yes, it has been spun into that. It's been spun into, it was supposed to go to committee and he didn't let it go to committee. He put it on his desk and signed it. Okay, so let me just explain a little bit about how the government works, just for those people who need an update, Civics 101. Okay, House and the Senate, they pass resolutions that become laws that go to the president's desk for a veto, or a signature. And in this case, he is being criticized because he signed this thing. Well, he signed a bill that would fund our government, would fund everything that goes on in this country. We wouldn't run out of funds and have to shut down our government. They snuck this rider in there. And I'm just going to go back a little ways in time to the NDAA, where a similar thing happened. Right. We had the NDAA, National Defense Appropriations Act. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. They slipped a little rider into that one, a little rider that allowed for detention of U.S. citizens without questioning, detention without actually habeas corpus in effect. Okay? When he signed that bill, as he had to do, because that bill, the NDAA, funded our military people on the ground, people who were in harm's way, as well as veterans and people depending upon those funds, he had to sign that. If he had not signed it, then it would have been interpreted that he didn't care about those people who were in harm's way or receiving veterans benefits.
Right.
So he signed that bill, but when he signed it, he said there will be constitutional challenges to this bill, and there have been. There are ongoing constitutional challenges to that thing. Okay, so now fast forward to last Thursday, same thing. These guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to look right at the Republican Party. I'm going to look at Kathy McMorris Rodgers, who is supposedly friend of the farmer, and in that House of Representatives, I see her fingerprints all over this. Sorry, guys. I really do.
No,
okay? She's part of this group. Okay? They put this little rider in there that actually protects a company that is selling GMO, genetically modified organisms. Okay? And they did that because, well, gee, how much money do you think Monsanto has? And how
they got their money's worth when they got this rider in there. And see, the Republicans are only funding the government 3 months at a time right now, so they can have these fights every 3 months. You go, see, look around, everybody. We didn't have these fights every 3 months. When Bush was president, that's what you get for putting in a Democrat when it's their plan. I mean, the president doesn't write bills, and people still don't get that.
Exactly.
I can pretty easily blame what happened during Bush's time on Bush, not because he wrote the bills, but he went to him and he said, write this bill, put it on my desk. They called them the rubber stamp Congress.
Right.
And so Bush got what he wanted. Congress passed whatever he wanted. Obama says pass this, they pass something completely different, attach a rider to it, and then they go, see, it's that black guy's fault.
Yeah, well, and they got in this time on something that he actually campaigned on. He said, I will make GMO products be stamped GMO.
Yeah. What's wrong with that, by the way? That's just fine. You know what? I think that they believe that people won't eat them if they're labeled GMO.
Oh,
you know
brother.
what? You know what? Have you ever read the label for anything that's bad for you? Like, even if it's just like a snack cake from the store or something.
Twinkies.
Yeah. Who reads what's in Twinkies? You eat them.
That's on anything, and unless you're eating, say, a piece of fruit that you grew yourself.
Heck, even that.
Labels,
even that.
I mean, unless you're eating something. Yeah, exactly. Unless you're eating something like that, something simple that you grew, chances are there's a lot of garbage in what you're eating. Chances are what you're eating there's something in it that's not good for you. I think if they put GMO on there, really for a lot of people, I think it's just another ingredient. They're not going to care.
Well,
here's the other thing about this bill.
Right.
You need to know the history. Back in 2010, a federal judge in San Francisco ruled that the U.S. Department of Agriculture had approved genetically modified sugar beets for commercial planting without adequately assessing their potential environmental impact. I'm reading this from NPR. The ruling effectively banned future plantings of GMO sugar beets, which made up most of the country's crop, and raised the specter of a sugar shortage. So, this bill... Sugar shortage. Sugar shortage. Say that a few times. So if you read this provision closely, you'll see that it authorizes the U.S. Department of Agriculture to grant temporary permission for GMO crops to be planted, even if a judge has ruled that such crops were not properly approved, only while necessary environmental reviews are completed. And that's supposed to be only good for the next 6 months. This is not President Obama selling us down the river to Monsanto. And anybody who tells you that is telling you a crock of lies.
I have seen the...
Go ahead, Kevin.
I have seen... Kevin. Yeah, on this GMO and Monsanto thing, I have seen, memes and some information from the far left. Even like people who are more, on our side, that is like on even the deeper end of it, that is against the president on this, saying that he didn't do enough. I think it could be. It could be. I mean, there could be more that, of course, the president can do. But what does he have to work with? Who does he have to work with? That kind of stuff. I'm sure they're trying. And the other thing too, remember a couple of weeks ago, it's going back to Sarah Palin with the big gulp, right? It's just so stupid to put this on the same argument as freedom. It's like...
Oh, the big gulp.
You know what? Yeah. First of all, if you think holding a gallon of soda in your hand at any one time is something you should do, you should be back in primary school.
Right.
Yes.
You should be back in grade school because obviously your judgment kind of sucked.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't. Yeah, not that you shouldn't be allowed. You should be allowed to do that. But you know what? Guess what? You are screwing us all by getting diabetes, and we all have to pay for it.
That's it.
Eating unhealthy food, it's not as simple as, hey, I have the freedom to do that. It's not as simple as that. Your action, it's like drunk driving. Your action has everything to do with everybody else's benefit. Now, in this case, you're not gonna right away. You're not gonna hit somebody. You're not gonna hit a busload of kids when you're drunk driving and kill them all. It's not like that, but it's a slow motion kind of self-destruction kind of thing, and it affects everybody that is around you. And then you know what? Even if you have insurance, we are paying for it because the whole idea of insurance is everybody paying into the pool, and if something happens, we all have to pay for your treatment. So we're still paying for your decisions. So this is more complicated than just I have the freedom to do it. Come on, it's so dumb. I don't understand.
You just debunked every argument about Obamacare.
if you want to go somewhere and sit in the middle of a field and drink gigantic sodas all day and not visit any of our hospitals and are truly not going to have any effect on our society,
it's just so dumb to think of freedom as something as mundane as I want to chuck 6 dozens of Twinkies in one sitting, or I want to eat nothing but fat.
But they also call freedom being able to have these gigantic drums, like a drum that attaches to a gun with 100 rounds in it.
Right.
It is my freedom to attach a drum to a gun and kill as many people as I want to. That's freedom.
Anyway, I feel like I'm just all ranting today, which I'm
glad you're here, Kevin. Thank you.
I'm glad. If I can get back to Monsanto for 1 second.
Go ahead.
Okay, here is the bigger point. Before you go off half-cocked and start, gun reference there, and start throwing this at our president as though it's his fault that this writer is there and that this thing got signed into law. Recognize, please, that he can't just line item veto, first of all. He can't line item veto, and he cannot veto whatever comes across his desk because not everything is veto-proof.
Right.
If he vetoes something and they overrule it, then he's done nothing. If he signs something but makes a statement about it, as he did with NDAA, and as I hope something comes out with Monsanto, although we're only in this for 6 months and we can do something in the meantime, I wish people on both sides of the aisle, not just the Republicans with their big gulps, but I wish people would become more informed.
Right. Yeah. And just have common sense.
Common sense. This guy, he does not have tyrannical power.
Yeah.
Okay? You want to say that he does and you want to knock him down for that. At the same time, you want to blame him for signing this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's
my rant.
That's good. So
No, that's good. I think that's a fine way to wrap up that subject, and I'm glad you got as versed on it as you did because I didn't get a chance to catch up on that one. But obviously that's another one that's going to come up again. I think it was about 5 years ago the FDA cloned the human consumption of cloned animals. And so that issue, I don't know if cloned animals have hit the food supply yet, but if they haven't, they're going to very, very soon, and it will become an issue.
Right.
On that note,
Yep.
if I may throw this out, this could be our final sort of major story at the end. I don't think that there's too much we can say about this. I think we're pretty much going to come together on this one. Right. But an undercover video that showed California cows struggling to stand as they were prodded to slaughter by forklifts led to the largest meat recall in U.S. history. God. In Vermont, a video of veal calves skinned alive and tossed like sacks of potatoes ended with the plant's closure and criminal convictions. Now a pushback led by the meat and poultry industry, state legislators across the country are introducing laws to make it harder for animal welfare advocates to investigate cruelty and food safety cases. They're not saying that we need to stop doing these things. They're saying you need to stop looking. Some bills will make it illegal to take photographs at a farming operation. Others will make it a crime for someone such as an animal welfare advocate to lie on an application to get a job at a plant. Bills pending in California, Nebraska, and Tennessee require that anyone collecting evidence of abuse turn it over to law enforcement within 28 to 48 hours, which advocates say does not allow enough time to document illegal activity under federal humane handling food and safety laws. They're saying we're doing this for the community.
Just sweep it under the rug.
We need to do this because it's necessary for the community. It's a violation of privacy. It's all these other things. We're savages, and there is, and obviously it's been made popular here. There's a place called Whole Foods there in Spokane, and there's a place called Huckleberry's and I know that our good friend Kevin here eats zero meat whatsoever, and I could not respect that more. There are animals that are bought up by these other places. The meat is much more expensive, which is why it's not as appealing to people. But there are farms that raise animals out in the open, and then they're taken to slaughter. But by and large, the farming operations, these large-scale farming operations, which by the way create tons and tons, like millions of tons of waste every year that seep into the ground, that seep into the water. These are, by and large, these are the way that we get probably better than 90% of our meat.
Yeah.
And the torture and all this that goes on. So they're saying, not that we should stop these things, not that we should stop doing these things, and they can. They don't have to raise the animals the way they do. They don't have to slaughter them the way that they do. But they're saying, you know what? Things are going just fine before you nosed in here with your camera, you little liberal. And so, yeah.
I gotta declare interest in this story.
Yes.
I became a vegetarian about a year ago. And I'm not gonna tell. It's kind of a private thing, but I'm not gonna. Yeah. You know what? It's fine. I guess it's fine. So, I became a vegetarian because my old cat died, and I was doing a mourning period thing with no meat, and then after that. After 7 weeks, I'm like, well, this actually feels pretty good. So I kept going, and that was a year ago. But even before that, I have been thinking about flipping for the longest time because I the losing a cat really. I mean, this is going to sound like whoa, people who are like those people who think PETA stands for people who eats like tasty animals, those guys, they're going to think I'm an idiot. But so be it.
Yeah.
I do not, and this is going to make a lot of people angry, right? But I'm just going to say it. For the longest time, I have been struggling morally. There's the word again, morally, in terms of whether I should let death or an animal stop breathing be involved with my food, with my dinner. I wasn't sure if I could actually, no pun intended, stomach the thought of a last breath being involved with my food sitting in front of me. Now, I know this is not an easy subject to approach, to even talk to family about, because I do have family members who just can't do it, just can't do what I'm doing. They can't be a vegetarian. And in certain culture, that's hard to do, because in certain culture, as in, we were just talking about this with another friend the other day. In Hong Kong, it's actually really hard to be a vegetarian, because traditionally, most food are cooked with meat.
Okay.
So when I'm in Hong Kong, it's just really hard to be, unless I just go to a Buddhist joint all the time. It's really hard to be a vegetarian in Hong Kong, because you walk into a restaurant, there's nothing on the menu for you. So I compromise by eating as much, as much stuff that I think has like no meat or no even seafood in it as possible. So this is kind of I'm fine with it. I'm a vegetarian.
I have two people in my family who are vegetarians because of political reasons.
Right.
Like that.
But just listening to what you were talking about, you're just reading that stuff. It's just so painful to me to hear that.
Oh my gosh!
That cows are being skinned alive to basically just be food.
Yep.
And that also, of course, it goes into another thing, as in, don't waste food, because especially meat, an animal actually suffered and in pain and be killed in order for that food to be in front of you. And you waste it. Then that death is not even worth what is supposed to worth, because you waste the food. See, this is hard to talk about, right? Because I know you guys are not vegetarians. I'm saying this stuff. I don't mean to make anybody.
No, it's fine.
I don't mean. Well, let me finish this. I don't mean to make anybody feel bad about their choices.
Right.
But at least for me, that's where I'm coming from, and I can't. I don't even crave it anymore because I am so coming from the moral side of it that I don't even think about it anymore. So but see again, what I just said is actually very cruel, as cruel as in thought, because I'm basically, when I say this, I'm basically accusing a meat eating person of being engaged in some kind of
no, you're not.
Not crime, but you know what?
Well,
some kind of and you know, I mean, there's no humane way to kill an animal. I'm sorry.
I believe that there is somewhere between 20 to 25 pounds of food that we feed to an animal for every pound of meat that we yield, which is incredibly wasteful in and of itself.
And the other thing is, of course,
it's not cruel to say. It's just being pointed out.
And the other thing, of course, is, you know, meat production is very bad for the environment. Mass production.
Oh, it's horrible.
Farms. And, you know, the other thing is, you know, this is a long time ago, but, you know, I've been struggling with this vegetarian thing for the longest time. Finally did it a year ago. And I'm so happy that I did. But it did create a problem because, you know, sometimes when you go out for dinner and people have to, you know, adjust to you and that kind of stuff, especially when you're living in a household that not everybody is a vegetarian, you know, then you have to do all kinds of adjustments. But I heard this a long time ago. And that it became one of the things that I constantly think about. Somebody brought up the fact that when you eat a taco in Taco Bell, the ground beef that comes with just that little bit of ground beef, right, in the taco, may have come from 40 different cows.
Oh, I know. It's like milk. Milk is the same way.
Right. That kind of make you think, right? It's a lot of karma involved.
Yes.
So anyway, you know, I'm going to shut up because I've said, I guess, enough on this, and I don't mean to make anybody feel bad about their choices, but you know.
See, now I'm feeling bad for the crabs and the salmon I eat because I'm a pescatarian.
Right.
Kevin,
you know, and you know, I wish this is Star Trek. I wish we just have a replicator, and you know, hey, if it is replicated chicken, then no animal was killed in the process. I guess I'll go back to eating meat again.
Kevin,
but they're not. But according to the Star Trek canon, a replicator is not going to be invented until like the year 23 something. So hey, I guess I have to wait a little bit. Anyway, I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. The reason I did this story was because, by and large, I definitely wanted to hear your opinion on it. All right, let's do this.
Wait a minute. Are you pissed at me now? Because I want to hear your opinion.
No, I did. Well, I did because you are the only person I know that is the kind of strict vegetarian that you are. Now, the story itself, I am no less affected when I read these kind of stories. And obviously, every time I hear them or I see them or I read them, I take a lot of personal inventory when I do because I'm empathetic, you know, and for years I've been trying to go full vegetarian and then have been unable to do it. I'm down to pretty much just chicken. That's what it's been for years. Yeah. But I know that the day is going to come, and it really became a reality for me when I heard about the cloned animals. I said, you know what? I'm not going to eat it. I'm sorry. I don't even like what I'm doing now. I'm not going to eat a cloned animal.
Well, you know what? Let me bring up another thing too, because you know it's just, at least in America. And I'm pretty sure this is like kind of the case in many parts of the world. It's so hard to be a vegetarian on the road.
Oh, yes.
You know, if you go to just driving on, say, I-5 or I-90 just straight, you know, down south or whatever, at night after 10:30.
Yeah, look out.
What else? What choices do you have? You have like fast food, and fast food, they all have meat in it, and you can't even trust the fries because the fries might have like beef extract in it. You know,
well, they probably do.
Or cooked in lard.
Right. Yeah. So, cooked in lard. So, you sometimes when you eat out, you really don't know. And thank you. I know I'm throwing a commercials here. But thank you, Trader Joe's. Make my life a lot easier. You know? But it's so hard. I was actually out and about last weekend. And it was like 10 o'clock. I just got to where I need to get to. And I just walk into Safeway. And it's so tough. I just want to grab some deli thing and just go, and it's so tough. So ended up I have to get some Amy's. There's Amy's is a brand of prepared. You know, it's frozen dinner and soup and stuff. They do vegan and I think vegetarian or vegan.
Yeah, they
stuff. Do. So end up I have to get like a couple of those and just microwave it. But it's just so it's so tough to be a vegetarian on the road. And this is off to the deep end stuff, but I don't think that's fair. Yeah, but
equality.
Well, that hell is a hell of a thing to didn't require everybody to just cater to what I think, right? What I'm doing. Then you'll get into all kinds of whatever. But it should be easier. It should be easier because a vegetarian diet is just I don't know. One can argue it's healthier.
We could go a lot of directions with this. I mean, I happen to believe that just because you have the money to buy it does not qualify you as the only people in the world who should be able to eat organic food.
Right, true.
Organic food costs more, especially in a town like this where your choices are pretty limited where you can get organic food. So I probably just outed my family. We do a lot of shopping at Huckleberry's where we can get, organic food, or Rocket Market or one of those.
Thank you,
but not everybody can do that.
Trader Joe's. Thank you, because they do, take care of, when you see that, I walk around and just look at the V's. If I find a V, I grab it, vegan,
Yeah.
Right.
So, anyway, this is not an easy subject to approach. Because I realize, Go ahead.
Let's do this. I think it's time to bounce in the DMs, but I pulled out this story. Even though it doesn't directly connect with anything that we've done, I guess it connects a little bit with our last story. But I wanted to read this to you because I wanted to get both of your response on that. We're opening this one up for discussion because this one's pretty cut and dry. Now, this guy sounds to me like he might be a teabagger. All right. Happened in Pennsylvania. They say you can get almost anything at Walmart, but the Pennsylvania Game Commission says one deer hunter took it too far. 40-year-old Arcangelo Bianco Jr., which is just a fabulous name, by the way, is charged with reckless endangerment and hunting law violations for allegedly shooting across the highway to kill a 10-point buck he spotted in a Walmart parking lot in November in Pennsylvania. Defense attorney John Huska declined comment Wednesday on the specific allegations, but says his client denies wrongdoing. Bianco faces a preliminary hearing May 1st on charges reported by the Indiana Gazette. Wildlife Conservation Officer Jack Lucas says Bianco fired several shots into the parking lot and then retrieved the deer from the side of the highway opposite the store about 30 miles east of Pittsburgh. Lucas says the buck is one of the nicest taken in the county in recent years.
Oh my gosh.
Paired with, hey! She shot an animal at Walmart across the highway. He's gonna get a fine for it. But that's all right. All right, I want to move on to my DM. I just want to tell it because that blew my mind. Because I go, you don't know how perfect that story is in so many ways.
Don't get me started on hunting.
Goody.
Hey, no. Oh, I know. Across, blam. Go about your shopping, folks. Everything's all right. You get me started and I can't shut up.
There's something so wrong about killing for fun. I can understand killing for food that you have to do to survive. But killing for fun? Really?
Oh, no.
That's called murder, my friend. So anyway, don't get me started on hunting.
Well, no, the other thing about the Walmart story. Okay, what's the store that would not stop selling AR-15s right after Newtown?
Is that Walmart?
And you cannot buy music that has swearing on it. All right, I'm gonna go. Then Angela can go, and then Kevin, you can go, and then we'll wrap up with science. So my DM for this week, a well-earned DM, is Texas Governor Rick Perry, who stood before conservatives this week gathered at a faith and family values rally in Austin on Tuesday and spoke about what he perceives as a sustained attack on the values by gay rights activists. This is a very unsettling time in our nation's history, Perry said. These are the days when a person is vilified when they state that they believe fundamentally that marriage is between one man and one woman. Perry spoke just hours after the Supreme Court heard arguments on Prop 8, California's gay marriage ban, on Wednesday. The justices will consider a case challenging the DOMA Act, and obviously that's already happened. Perry went on to suggest that the decision by LGBT rights advocates to fight for equal treatment was proof that they themselves are intolerant. Let me say that again.
It's like the same old...
The very fact that you are asking for equality, you who work, you who pay taxes, you who have families, drive cars, pay insurance, you who are responsible, have not gone to jail, have not stolen from the government, blah, 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 blah. You who are asking for equal rights like your fellow Americans, you are very intolerant.
Classic.
Says Governor Rick Perry. He is my DM for the week.
Classic.
Could I say something about that?
Go.
I know we're not supposed to respond to DMs, but somewhere Molly Ivins and Ann Richards are laughing.
Oh, Molly.
Hell yeah, they are. Yeah.
It's a classic BS argument. As
Oh,
hey, you are discriminating me by stopping me to discriminate other people. Classic BS.
That's not discriminating.
I forgot. I used to take like philosophy classes at college. There is a fallacy that is there's an actual name of this fallacy. I forgot what it is, but somebody please enlighten us on our Facebook page and tell us what it is. But
oh yes, please.
Anyway. Do you
Angela,
want me to,
forward.
Angela? Okay, go ahead.
You ready?
Ready.
Vagina.
Thank you.
I said it. The V word. Vagina. The state of Idaho has a professional standards commission that is investigating.
Stop right there. Let's move on.
I'll say it again, just for effect.
Can you
Vagina.
can you just say those two words just consecutively?
Vagina?
Hey,
What?
Kevin, weren't you talking about going to...
Can you say vagina in Idaho at the same?
Yes. Apparently not.
Kevin,
State of Idaho.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh.
State of Idaho Professional Standards Commission is investigating a science teacher in the tiny rural town of Dietrich because 4 parents have objected to his use of the word vagina in a 10th grade biology lesson on human reproduction. Sorry.
Wow.
In addition to saying vagina, he stands accused of describing the biological processes that lead to human orgasm, discussing birth control, and telling unseemly jokes to his sophomore charges.
Yeah.
Now, they also were mad that he showed an inconvenient truth in class.
Wow.
Okay? And the final claim is that the science teacher revealed confidential student files to somebody who's not a parent. But actually, the way it looks from all this is we just have a few disgruntled people because he used the word vagina in a classroom. This really speaks to me, guys, because I teach at a nearby university, and the film I use, The Big Lebowski,
Yeah.
Maud uses the word vagina and just stops everybody, even though the F-bomb is used 299 times.
Dude.
It's a medical term.
Dude, it's a medical term. Okay? My next DM is David Brody of Pat Robertson's Christian Broadcasting Network, who offered this wonderful gem this week. In the media's narrative, you would think that homosexuals are the poor souls who have been banished by society like ugly stepchildren and are now rising to overcome incredible odds.
He
But
would
what
be
about today?
He would be right.
Let's be honest. If you are a conservative evangelical who believes in the biblical definition of traditional marriage, then guess what? You are one of the following: an outcast, a bigot, narrow-minded, a hater of all or above. It's a different type of ridicule, but it's still ridicule.
It's another one of these, like, people. Some certain people are not happy until 100% of the world is under their control.
Well, they're the people who have marginalized homosexuals.
Yeah, and then like, why are you screaming?
And so technically, they're the abuser becoming the victim.
Yeah. I don't know if this analogy is correct, but I've been thinking about this for a long time. It's like people like just decide to take a crap in front of your house and then ring your doorbell, and when you come out, it's like, hey, that stinks. Take care of it.
No, that's a fair analogy.
I kind of like it.
Hey, I'm gonna go with that.
Feel free to quote me on that. Okay, so my DM. You know what? Actually, I was going to do Steve King. He was saying that he's basically talking trash about the Obama girls. going to the Bahamas for vacation. It's like that lavish vacation. They should be tightening their belt because, we have the budget crisis, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Actually, in the past 20 minutes when we were talking about vegetarianism, I changed my mind. I'm not going to talk about Steve King, which I actually already did. So, hey. I just like ate 2 cans of hummus with one sitting. I don't want to say kill 2 birds with 1 stone because I'm a vegetarian.
No. Right,
okay, I don't know if that's even funny. But so my DM go to a New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico. I don't know what he does. He's a meat contractor. His name is Tim Seppington.
Okay.
And he decided to make a statement. So he make a video of him just shooting a horse. Killing a horse.
What?
Just bang, just shoot a horse. You know what? Listen, I just read about that video. I can't watch it. I
don't.
Can't,
no,
right?
I won't watch it either.
So he's like, according to what it says on the report that I'm seeing, he said something in the line of, "Hey, you animal activists, F you," and then bang, he shoot the horse, I guess, right in between the eyes, and then the horse dropped and died, right? So, you know what? Listen, man. Mr. Seppington, I gotta tell you, that's murder, my friend. If you're doing this intentionally to make a point, that's murder. That's not killing the animal just for food or whatever. That's murder. Okay? I don't care. I don't care what you do for a living. You might be slaughtering animal just for food, in your work. But you know what? Do this to take a video of this. That's karma, my friend.
You take a video and you'll want to watch it again. That's sick.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what else I can say about these people without being,
No, I think that's good.
Right. But that's all you need to say.
But dude, that's murder. And I don't know. I mean, there's something about a animal is walking. Can I say an animal is talking? An animal is talking, right?
They vocalize.
And an animal is thinking. They do think.
Feels pain.
They do dream.
Mm-hmm.
And just killing them, they don't, just killing it like that. And for what? To make your stupid point? That's murder.
Yeah.
Just so wrong. Somebody, Melvin or Angela, stop me from talking.
No,
please.
You're doing fine.
Kevin,
stop.
Silence, my friend.
Okay.
You have made your point, and you have made it quite
so angry. And then there's nothing I can do. I mean, what am I going to do? Just yell at the guy? I don't even know him. So,
if animal had the ability to protect itself, to defend itself, much like the horror frog, he would have been in much better shape. Now, this thing made its round a lot this week, and this is my first time learning about it.
Yeah.
Harvard biologists have described a bizarre hairy frog with cat-like extendable claws. Trichobacterius robustus actively breaks its own bones to produce claws that puncture their way out of the frog's toe pads.
Oh, man.
When it's threatened.
Whoa.
Yeah, no. The researchers say that there are salamanders that force their ribs through the skin to produce protected barbs, so it's kind of like that. But nothing quite like this mechanism has ever been seen before. The end result might look more. I mean, they change obviously. They break bones, and bones don't break the same all the time. But they say they generally look like cat claws, but breaking the bone. The cutting mechanism is very different and unique among vertebrates. Also unique is the fact that the claw is just bone and does not have an outer coating of keratin like others do, and this is how it survives. That's hardcore. I know you guys don't listen to metal, but that's metal. Like, he breaks his own damn bones, and that's how he defends himself. Imagine your horse if he could just sort of just sits around all day, and, like, the guy leaves the barn or whatever, right? And he just I know you have to kill them when they break their legs or whatever, but he just kneels down, he just breaks his leg in half, and then the next time the guy comes in with the gun, he just sort of takes his head off. And he goes, I learned that from a frog, Anyway,
oh,
science evolution.
It's going to make me look at Kermit quite a bit differently.
They have their way, and eventually, through evolution, we all adapt and we learn to defend ourselves and grow defense mechanisms. And this is one of the coolest things I have ever read: the amphibian horror frog.
Well,
do yourself a solid and go look at the pictures online. He's pretty badass. He's wearing a
well, you know what? Can I interject here in your science segment?
Yeah, then let's.
Yeah. So, a lot of times, it's go back to that human instinct that there's something that doesn't look like everyday or familiar. It freaks you out, right? But it's actually nothing wrong with it. Just that they certain animals are they're running on a different system than us.
Right.
When you're talking about frog, the one thing that popped in my head is another kind of frog named the Suriname toad.
Yes.
So what happened is the Suriname toad, or the star-fingered toad, is I'm just reading it off like Wikipedia here. It's found in Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, like northern South America, right? So what happened is this frog actually have their young hatch on their back. So what would happen? So what does it look like? You know what? Just Suriname.
It has a hatch on the back?
No, there was so what happened is I think when the eggs are when the eggs they buried their eggs, fertilized egg on their back. So it looks, just go Google it. Suriname toad. So it's Suriname TOAD. Just start. So this frog looks horrible because it has ends up when the eggs hatch, it come right out of the frog's back, right? So the frog's back look like it's a bunch of holes with like animals with younger whatever crawling out of the back.
It looks so metal.
It looks pretty horrible, right? It looks like something from like not even from this planet. Trust me, Google it, look at the picture when you're not eating, right?
Whoa.
Oh.
It looks insane. But here's the thing though. That's how they roll, man. That's how those animals roll. There's nothing wrong with it. We just like look at it as like, oh, hey, that's not how we are used to. But, but that's just how it is. And just like the frog that you mentioned, Melvin, it seems really odd to us, right? But I guess like they are just, hey, that's how we are,
Right.
So anyway, I don't know if I have an actual... You know what? My actual point there is I want to go full circle on this. And this is kind of dangerous because, it's like, well, you think gay people are frogs now? No, that's not what I'm saying. But go full circle into our first topic, as in, remember we talked about a lot of people kind of freaked out when they see other people that doesn't act like them or doesn't behave like them or doesn't act or behave like what they think other people should, and they freaked out and they try to be a control freak about other people's behavior. Right. It's the same kind of instinct working here. It's a very what's the word I'm not looking for? Reptilian instinct. To reject something that you don't know or you don't understand or you don't think it should be.
Right.
So, yeah. So
I think, hey...
See what I did there? I tie in with the full circle with our show today.
I think that's absolutely perfect and certainly tied in with the animal stars. I think. Hey, well, you know what? We'll critique the show after the show is done. Let me say, let's wrap up the show. It's been a fun week, and ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to sitting with you again next week and ranting and raving about whatever we think. Well, thank you for your continued support. We are the fire that you can't put out.
And again, once again, I want to apologize for a little bit preachy. Oh, hey, that's...
Don't apologize.
No, I'm a little preachy today about vegetarian.
Don't apologize.
Anyway, so see you guys next week, okay?
We are on the right side of history, and we will prevail.
Yes.
Sunshine is just around the corner. Yeah, good night, everybody.
Good night.